Why is the beginning of the purpose statement for any dream or vision. While it can be enjoyable to dream about some things in life just because it's fun, considering a vision for transforming a classroom, school, or district has a tremendous impact, and in our case, on the lives of nearly 4,000 children every single day. Over the past 2 years, I have spoken about principles, methods, and tools necessary for transformation. These are the how-to tactics that make up the plan. What has been missing from my message is perhaps the most important thing to consider, the why. The why that will drive the change in the form and fundamental character of the Urbandale Community School District. Transforming a school district needs more than the how-tos. Transformation needs a purpose, one that captures the imagination and fuels the passion to create something so special and so meaningful that we all know we are truly embarking on the path of something that will be life-changing for our students and for each of us. What happens to children over the course of time in school? What happens to their joy and enjoyment of learning? The Enterprise School District in Redding, California, conducted a yearly attitudinal survey in which students in grades K through 8 expressed their feelings about the subjects they studied. How do you think the results will look? I know that as a former elementary teacher, I had very positive impressions of how my students felt about learning, or so I thought. So you can imagine my surprise when I saw the following results. The results were a consistent and steady decline in both enthusiasm and enjoyment. A decline that began after kindergarten. Not 5th grade, not 8th grade, but kindergarten. But the decline is not the fault of any individual or group. Rather, it is due to the system itself. The system is producing the behavior, and that is the reason we must transform our current educational system in order to improve results. Last week, I had the opportunity to attend the Global Leadership Summit. When working toward a vision, one of the speakers challenged each of us to consider the consequences if we did not move forward with the new vision. So here are some of my thoughts about what will not occur if we do not adopt a new philosophy and use the tools necessary for deployment. There will be little joy in learning for students because the learning, both in content and process, will not be meaningful, relevant, or purposeful. We can see over time from the graph how the educational system saps the joy out of learning for students. A culture of compliance rather than commitment will plague students and adults alike, resulting in the lowest levels of performance, what we refer to today as proficiency. Fear rather than freedom and elation will reign. Mediocrity and drudgery will be our cry. We will not inspire joy in learning needed to prepare students for a future yet to unfold that requires them to be lifelong learners, creative thinkers, and problem solvers, and with the ability to work effectively and collaboratively with others. Systemic improvement in learning will not occur. Pockets of improvement will occur throughout the system, but improvements across the entire district will not happen. And finally, we will work in our individual silos and focus on short-term results, year by year and subject by subject, without consideration of the entirety of what a 13-year educational experience can mean for children. As a result, children will continue to experience a fragmented education made up of disconnected, discrete ideas and facts in which they will find little to no meaning, purpose, or relevance for their present or their future. This is our current system. This system was created over 100 years ago when life was much different. It was a time when the Industrial Revolution was in full force, and our educational systems, designed like factories, were meant to prepare its learners to join a much different workforce. In terms of that need, the system performed well. We are all a product of this same system. Most of us grew up memorizing data and information. We learned how to learn from that system, and we learned how to teach based on that very same system. Education has been structured in a way that motivates us just enough to pass a test or to try to earn an A. But it doesn't go beyond that, and it hasn't for 100 years. But today is not 100 years ago. The demands are vastly different, and change occurs at a rate that boggles the mind. The world needs people who can think, problem solve, and who know how to learn. The current system created 100 years ago will not do this. Reforming the current system, meaning using current components and putting them in a different order, will not cut it. What we need is systemic transformation. Transformation that fundamentally changes and improves education at its very core, beginning with our beliefs and our theories. We need a dynamic system which, inherent in itself, prepares people to continually examine and improve the system, allowing it to adapt to ongoing demands. What we are looking for is a profound change in a system that has outlived its effectiveness. We are embarking on a process of transforming the Urbandale Community School District, moving away from old paradigms that have haunted education for 100 years and moving towards those that in essence create joy in learning, teaching, and leading. We all came out of the system that created the system we are in. So this isn't a time to point fingers at why anyone in the system is uninspired, but instead it's a time for us to ask the tough questions. The questions that may seem uncomfortable because we don't have answers readily at hand. And as we all know, very rarely do we as educators ask a question if we don't already know the answer. To gain insight into how to transform a system, we must first have a true understanding of that system. Dr. Edward Deming created the system of profound knowledge to provide a leadership theory, a framework of thought and a guide for action for any leader wishing to change his or her organization. As you will learn throughout the day, the 4 aspects of the system of profound knowledge include appreciation for a system, a knowledge about variation, a theory of knowledge, and a knowledge of psychology. These are important, for as Dr. Deming said, without theory there is no learning, because theory is the why we are doing what we're doing. What are some of your own theories about learning? How do these theories impact how you work with students? How do we know if they have resulted in our desired outcomes? I challenge you to ask yourself why. Why you're teaching what you're teaching and how you're teaching it. Is it because that's how you were taught the lesson? Is it because that's how you taught the lesson last year? Or perhaps is it because you observed a colleague teaching a lesson in this manner? Knowing why we are doing what we are doing is the key to motivating not only ourselves but our students on a daily basis, for in that answer we find our meaning. I believe that in order for true creativity and insight to take place, we must first begin with the assumption that people are competent. I look out at everyone this morning and I see competent and highly skilled teachers and leaders. We must also pass that assumption of competence on to our students, for we all know what it feels like when someone believes in us, and that belief propels us to achieve things we never thought possible. Your ideas as educators are valued here in this district. Your ideas and questions are important. The insights that you share matter. You have the support of the Urbandale Community School District to ask the tough questions in order to make us better. We are a district that brings learning to life. These may all seem like just thoughts right now, but I assure you, every improvement that has ever taken place began with a thought. We know our thoughts create our words, which create our actions, which creates our destiny. Let's not turn cynical when new ideas are discussed. For if we as educators are cynical about new ideas, our students will also become cynical about the new ideas we share with them. So, what is your destiny? What is your why? What is the destiny for students in the Urbandale Community School District? These are important questions because you see, I believe we shape that destiny with every thought, every word, and every action we create. I challenge us all to take the next steps together in transforming education and our district to become one that inspires joy in learning, teaching, and leading, and one that brings learning to life. It took over 100 years to get us to this point in education, so we know it's going to take some time to make this transition. But if we start now, if we start today, taking steps toward a more inspired and meaningful learning experience, I believe we will be on a pathway for cultivating true joy in education.